What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchapalia sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online. Today, I'm going to talk to you about one type of deal that they have a couple of on Lofty that I think is a little bit of a trap if you're not careful, if you're not really paying attention. I'm gonna jump into this one in a minute. I just wanted to mention, the last couple of days I've looked at some other sites, talked a little bit about Ground Floor and Saul's Lot. And I've talked to you before about Mogul. I want to make sure that you realize just because I'm spending a lot of time on Lofty and I'm starting to pick up more and more tokens on here, that I don't necessarily think this is the best option for everybody. I've done when I've done videos about Ground Floor and about Mogul, I think those could be a better fit for certain people. Provided that they're able to continue to deliver on the promises that they've made. It seems like Ground Floor has a pretty good track record of that. So far, Mogul, it's too early to know, is my opinion. I mean, they are paying out on some properties, but it's pretty early. But I just want to mention that because I do spend a lot of time now talking about Lofty. I think there are a lot of different types of opportunities. There's also a lot of different ways that you can lose money. I've run into a lot of people that have just bought tokens, misunderstanding what it is they're getting. And I think that this type of deal right here that I'm going to talk about today is one that could very easily, somebody could jump into here. And based on the token prices, I think this has already happened, that there's people buying these and not really getting understanding what they're getting. So, I just want to throw that out there. I do have links in descriptions below to Mogul, Lofty, and Ground Floor. Those are the three that I've really decided to put some money on. But again, do your own due diligence. They might not be the right ones for you. I have all the sites that I've looked at and dismissed. There are videos if you want to take a look at those for Landa, Arrived, Saul's Lot, Arc 7. All those I think have some potential. But for reasons I've explained, I think that they weren't for me. But again, you want to take a look at those and see if they are for you. I'm not trying to tell you what to do here. I'm just trying to share my real estate experience and knowledge, tell you about the way I'm looking at these deals, and hopefully it helps a little bit to also share some resources in the way that I look at these. As far as online tools that you can use to help evaluate them. We're not even really going to have to get into that on this type of property today. I had taken a look at it. I jumped right in and, started doing a little research on the property address before I had really read this carefully. And, it was sort of a waste of time. And it's because this deal is one that I think is a non-starter for me because of the structure. And let me tell you a little bit about what they're doing here. This is, the owner of this property is selling a portion of their equity up to $150,000 worth. And they are guaranteeing a 15% rental yield on that equity. So basically, whatever, for that amount of money, they're gonna pay out an amount that equals a 15% return on $50 tokens. Excuse me. You can see the price already is higher, so that pushes down the yield a little bit. But then it goes on to say they're going to they will buy back all of the equity in 3 years for a total of 4% appreciation. So that means a token price of $52. But also they have there's no fee when that's bought back. So whatever, you just get the $52 straight from each one. So that's good to know. But also, the owner has the option to buy back the equity at any time, but for the full $52. And so, if you didn't read this carefully and you were just, which is, I'm sure a lot of people aren't, they look at the property pictures, oh, it looks great. Maybe they're even looking this property up, although this is one that's kind of hard to do due diligence on. It's a 40-acre ranch. It's not the easiest thing to try to value. Although if I were going to buy this, I'd go through all the same steps I do on everyone. But you can see, like, okay, Miriam is paying the full property maintenance cost. That's the current owner. They did a credit check and a criminal background check because that person is basically we're giving it, I mean, this structure is really much more like a loan than it is anything else. I mean, I think it sort of reminds me of a synthetic lease, which is, which is a, has this buyback feature as well. But it is, it is, and that's kind of what they're doing, right? They're selling it, they're paying rent, but then they're buying it back. I mean, it's a pretty strange structure. Um, if you trust that they'll be able to pay that, which, we didn't really get a lot of info that made me feel really good about that we're definitely, would be getting that payment, but assuming it is correct, right? Because I think you don't even have to get into that. The numbers start to just, not be great to me compared to some other opportunities. And so I want to show you what I'm talking about. So when it was originally sold, um, and I should probably, let's see. So it was originally sold $50 token price. You pay a trading fee on that, so another $1.50. And then they're taking a fee for that's going into the operating reserve, which I don't understand why they're doing that, because the operating reserve, and they're showing it in the public folders that, the operating reserve is getting full. But again, the current owner is responsible for 100% of the maintenance. So it's not really clear why they're doing that. Maybe that will get distributed back um, when the tokens are sold at the end. It's really not clear, right? When the tokens are bought back. I think that's what would make the most sense, but it's not really clear what's happening to that money. Um, so maybe that comes back out. But so, you're paying 51.50 just including the trading fee, and maybe 52.75 if you're not getting that operating reserve money back. And so you're actually taking a loss based on that $52 that you're getting paid back, right? So right off the bat, you're not getting any appreciation. Where they're talking about you're getting 4% appreciation, no, your basis is too high. You're getting zero appreciation, and that eats a little bit into your 15% yield. And so, okay, maybe if I'm just looking at this and I'm just looking at a 15% yield, and I don't care about anything else, that makes sense, right? And if I thought it's going to be open for the full 3 years, well, maybe I collect my 15% for 3 years, and that's better. It's better than the return I'm getting on ground floor right now. So, maybe that's good, and it's better. It's not quite as good as it's less than what most of the capital calls are percentage, APR wise on Lofty as well. But she has the option to pay you off tomorrow, right? So you could buy this, spend 52.75, and then tomorrow she gets a better loan somewhere else, pays this off, and you get $52 back, and you've lost 75 cents per token. Um, Now maybe not. Maybe you've actually made 50 cents per token because maybe this operating reserve fee goes back to you. I wish it was a little bit more clear why they're even collecting that and what would happen with it. Um, yeah, I'm really not sure. Governor Marion is president government's vote to refinance the property. Oh yeah, and then they're doing some other stuff where she's trying to refinance, but let's ignore that at the moment, because I think that my main point is just really just the pure what this deal is and what it's not, right? Like this is really you're making a loan in this property as your collateral. I mean, it might not be technically what's happening, but if you compared it to the economics of any other type of deal, that's what's happening. I mean, you have no upside. Your maximum you're ever going to get is that 15%. You're not going to get paid that if it's paid off early. And so there's, and not that 15% is a terrible deal, right? I mean, it's a good yield. You can find better ones on Lofty. Now, maybe you really like this collateral, you like that it's been paying, and you think that works, and that's great. But so I could get on board with, I could understand why maybe you buy $50 tokens, but what I don't understand is who's buying these tokens now at this 53.48 price, right? I mean, if you and I when I did the math, it was actually at 53.54. It's changed a little bit since then. But if you look at this, where okay, so you actually get a slightly higher trading fee when you're doing the market orders. They're charging 350 now, or 3.5% instead of 3. So you end up with a little bit higher trading fee, still paying that operating reserve, and then you have to pay the market lending fee, right? And the token price is more. And so when you add all those together, you're at 57.82. Even if you are going to get that operating reserve fee back, you're at 56.50 basically, right? And so um, you bought those today, they get paid off tomorrow. You're going to lose $4, right? Or 56, yeah, $4. If it doesn't get, and then your yield on, this yield is your yield on 53, but it's really even lower because, your whole basis is this number here. Um, I don't know. I think if people, I can't imagine that people are making these purchases understanding that this is the actual math of it. And I mean, maybe they are. I don't know. But then you could see like there were a couple of tokens that sold at $56, which is just absolutely absurd to me. Um, I think said that round, that it was a round price. I think those were limit orders, but it's still just like I can't figure out why somebody would do that. At $56, even with your limit order fees, you're still ending up significant. You're ending up even higher than doing this market order. Um, maybe it has something to do with what's going on here, but it's, this hasn't actually gone through, right? She's saying she's proposing, she wants to refinance the loan because part of what is happening is she's not allowed, she's supposed to keep that current loan and it has to be current. Um, and by doing it, I think is going to, having the 15% returns are already paid already. 14% return on $57 per token buyback. So increase, so okay, offering to buy it back for more, but like, okay, 57, right? You're not making money here, right? Like, if you're buying this and you get paid bought back, I mean, maybe you're getting a fractionally some money if depending again on what happens with this operating reserve, right? But um, it's very strange to me that I guess what my point is this is making it very clear to me that there are people that are coming on this site, and I think a lot of them, and buying these properties and not really understanding. I think they're looking at the pictures, skimming this, maybe reading some of it, looking at the price, looking at the yield, and being like, okay, hey, let me buy that, and maybe not even reading these details here, right? And a lot of times these offering details really are innocuous, right? They don't always make that big a deal. So I could imagine some people just skipping over this or not really thinking about that buyback, which is why I want to mention it, right? I think that there are several of these deals with buybacks. Um, None of them have seemed very compelling to me. I mean, I think that I guess the whole thing is if I wanted to make a loan, I would be making loans. I mean, there's opportunities in the world to get very high yields on loans, especially because in this instance, it's not really a loan. You don't have a lien on the property. You do have some rights, and the property is owned in a DAO. But I think that the first mortgage lender that's in there definitely has priority, right? I mean, so if anything, you could think of this as being sort of in a mezzanine loan position. And if you haven't worked much in finance, that might mean nothing to you. But it is, you know, usually that's actually a loan that isn't on the using the entity as collateral. So that's not really exactly what's going on here. So one of the things I like about Lofty is they're really creative and they'll let you do whatever you can within the structure. But it's also one of the big traps for people who aren't paying attention is, when I go on this marketplace, these are not all the same, right? It's not like I can just look at any one of them and just compare the price and the yield, because the deal itself, the terms of the deal actually change. And some of the properties you have more control, some of them you have less, some of them there's debt inside the DAO. I think actually really just one at the moment, but I think there'll be more soon. Most of them it's outside or there isn't any. And so it is wildly different. And so I think people just have a really hard time uh, seeing that when looking at this. And I pulled this one up because this is one that I've been buying tokens in. Um, I've been very happy at this price, but you can see there was a sale at $13.56 for these tokens. Now it's because this hasn't yielded any money recently, and so people will just keep selling, but they don't, if they really looked at what is behind, what you're owning here, I can't imagine that anybody would actually do this, because I've been buying these, and I expect that it is either going to turn into a decent cash flowing property, or we'll sell it and get a significant premium to what the current tokens are. Now, again, just because I think that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. I am still, but I've got several of these that I'm buying. It is an experiment so far. It's why I'm trying to do it with a little bit of money with a whole bunch of different ones, so I can really understand the process, figure out how hard it is to talk the other owners into selling. Figure out how we've got. I've been through one sale so far. We have another one under contract, that should be a pretty decent return. Um, I think, I've got now 10 or 12 of these that I'm working on that I think, by the time I work through all those, then I'll have a really good sense of, what the opportunity is. And, maybe it isn't, right? But I think what's sort of the sad part, but also the opportunity, is there are a lot of people that are just clicking into here, looking at a picture, looking at a price, looking at a yield, and saying, okay, that's the one I want. I would bet that there are a ton of people that are just sorting by yield and buying this highest yielding one, um, and not giving a second thought to all the dense, you know, text boxes and reading. Um, you know, I love now that there's reviews too. Like, I think people are not even reading the offering details probably. It seems clear to me that they're not when I look at properties like that other one. And if they're not doing that, then who I don't know, adding some more things for some reviews just seems a little strange to me. In any case, that's really all I wanted to show you is that those types of deals exist. There are several of them. You want to look out for them because they're definitely limiting your upside, and really, depending on what the prices you're agreeing to pay, you could be locking in downside, right? Like, I mean, or maybe you're going to get your yield, but then you're going to lose some in the sale at the end, which is what it looks like is happening at the current price, right? I mean, people are paying more than the owner is going to buy it back from them, and so they're doing that. And basically, what that's doing is buying the yield down, right? Or selling it down, buying it down. Um, and so that's just something that I would avoid. Unless that's just your goal, right? Unless you're like, okay, I just want that yield, I want the money back, set time. Um, but if they don't give it back, um, it's not completely clear the path to getting your money back, right? Then presumably they can take over the ownership of the property and then maybe have the ability to sell it to get some cash out or operate as a rental. But there's the potential that that repurchase at the end doesn't happen, um, and then so I don't think I'd want to give up any opportunity for upside just, it doesn't seem like you're getting the level of certainty I would want to make that trade-off. But again, maybe that's just me. If that seems like an attractive option for you, I don't want to discourage you, but I just want to make sure that you go into those types of deals with your eyes open. There are several of these properties that I first looked at. I was like, oh, that's a nice property. I think this might be one of them too. Is this one? Um, I was getting a little bit excited. Oh, maybe this is not the one. I think that's the one. Anyway, there's several of them where they have some sort of buyback deal as part of the deal. And for me, it just really doesn't work for me. I mean, it's if I'm buying real estate, yeah, this is one that they agreed to buy back, at $56 tokens over 6 years, right? And so they're saying, okay, that's 12% appreciation, but that's not 12% annual appreciation. That's 2% simple annual appreciation, right? Like it's not even compounding. Um, and so, you're, maybe you're getting a better yield than you should expect, but you're not, I don't know. So again, do the math on it, figure out, does that make sense to you? This is one that I really liked the property until I really started digging into it and seeing the structure. And again, I mean, to me, this structure feels a lot more like a loan, even though that's not what it's not what it technically is, but you're giving them money, you're getting some certain payment over time, and they're just going to give, and at the end, they're just going to give you money back. You don't get to, you're not, in the meantime, you might have some additional control over that property. Excuse me, but it's not the same as the other ones where you're really, making some decisions. You couldn't vote to sell this, I don't believe. I think that that's not really an option. Or if you did, they could just buy the equity back at that point. Um, in any case, I just want to make sure I pointed that out. I think that it's something, I've looked at several of those, and I don't think I made any videos about them because I didn't really know what to say. It wasn't until I saw, people were paying more than what they were going to get bought out for that I was like, I think really there's a lot of people that are misunderstanding it. Um, and so I figured, I'd at least throw that out there as a warning. In any case, until next time, I am just going to keep making mistakes so that